Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. Water or Guinness? No, this is water. Let's just test that. Gorgeous. Watch the water. What's the truth about water? Anyway, before I start this, what am I talking about water for? You'll see in a minute. Before I start the show, there's links below here. Get on my email list. Best way of avoiding censorship, which I get a lot of on all channels. I'm also on Rumble and BitChute and themarkattwoodshow.com. That's where everything is, including all the uncensored stuff, all the stuff that YouTube wouldn't let me put up. Today, I am going to be bringing on a guest that I first discovered about, it must be I've lost track of time. It must be well over a year ago. And the reason I brought this guy on is because he's amazing and he reversed his own biological age. That's the first thing we first spoke about. And then I found out more about him. And the man is a repository of wisdom. And today we want to talk about hydration and water. Hello, Ian Clark.
Mark, how's it going?
How's it going? Did they say that in Canada? Because they say that in Ireland. How's it going?
It's great.
That was Scottish. Careful. Yeah, it's been a while. I see you're surrounded by water. I have some in my Guinness pot. What are we going to talk about? Let's talk about water.
Yeah, water is a fascinating subject. One of the paradoxes I learned about water is that the more you drink water, the more you dehydrate your body, which sounds completely counterintuitive, like a really stupid statement. But we have been so indoctrinated, as you know, and you pointed out, on so many levels and so many categories. We have been lied to for, millennia.
But this is the thing. I've been going around America and places, meeting people, and we noticed this in the States because it was a really tiring journey. I was like drinking loads and loads of water and going, I'm just not quenching my thirst. And what comes to mind, and I'm just saying this for the benefit of the viewers, if the government tells you to do something, you should run the other direction. When they've been saying eat 5 vegetables and fruit a day for 30, 40 years. Don't.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Don't do it.
That's right.
And the same with water. What do they tell you to drink? What's the government advice on water? 2 liters a day or something?
Yeah, so much per ounces per body weight is it's ridiculous. And this goes back to the original discovery in 2007, where I found out about osmotic transfer between a cellular organism called marine phytoplankton and a very highly concentrated sea mineral solution that's 100 times strength ocean water. So it's extreme salinity, and it has all the trace elements. What I found out was, and this was completely rejected by even the natural scientists in Europe, which shocked me so much, because a guy in Australia had discovered that you take anything fresh, like hawthorn berry juice or stinging nettle or something, like he was into all these different fresh harvested health products. And he found out that when you take the juice and you put it into 70% highly concentrated sea minerals that he makes down there in Australia, and you add anything fresh to it, there's an instantaneous osmotic transfer of salinity that stabilizes that fresh harvested whatever it is to stability that'll last for literally decades. And at that point, they had already been about 15 years in of this knowledge, and nobody knew about it. And so I went, hey, what if we took fresh marine phytoplankton from the centrifuge over in Europe, and we placed a 30% concentrate? Like, this stuff is so thick, it's like bubble gum. It's so thick. If you put a spoon in your mouth, it'll stick your teeth together. And you put that in with this concentrated sea mineral, would that work? Would it stabilize the phytoplankton? Because the phytoplankton goes off in one day if you leave it out in the fresh open air. And they have to freeze dry it. They've got to like flash freeze it and then lyophilize it to stabilize it as a powder. And I didn't want them to do that, because I want the life energy that's inside the cell stabilized, just like eating a fresh salad from your garden, for example. And this guy said, absolutely, that will work. And you'll see. So I went, perfect. And he explained to me why it all worked. And so when I contacted the scientific guys in Europe who were making the marine phytoplankton, growing it in their photobioreactors. I was told flat out, you're wasting your time and money. One guy told me, I don't even want to talk to you about this anymore. If you want to buy the powder, let me know. I'm not going to do any experiments for you. I'm not going to waste your money. It will never work. And I was shocked that they didn't even want to try. The second scientific group I spoke to in the Netherlands, they said, sure, you want to waste your money? We'll help you. Send it over. We're open, let's try it out. So I had it sent over, flew it over in like a tote on FedEx. They made the phytoplankton paste. They harvested it. They put it in. And it was like 2 days later, the guy called me and goes, well, it's stable for now. He said, if it stays stable for a couple of months, I'll release it to you. And then you can start consuming it and letting people know. 2 months later, it was released. In the interim, he shipped me a tote of the stuff that he made, kept a sample in his lab, and was completely shocked that this completely stabilized it. So it stayed fresh and raw. And I knew that it would happen. You get a gut instinct about something, because I'm no scientist. I was just relying on...
Thank God. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing this stuff, because the scientists are all stuck in their paradigms, as you've just described.
Right. That's right. Indoctrination. The belief is so powerful against the reality. And then this guy started producing it for us, and that birthed Oceans Alive. 5 years later, after selling millions of dollars worth of phytoplankton, the guy in Spain who had the highest grade manufacturing facility on earth for marine phytoplankton, the guy who totally rejected me, he got a hold of me. He goes, I've been watching you sell the stuff. I bought some, I tested it. It is really stable. And I have the highest grade strains of phytoplankton verified with novel food certificates and €100 million facility to grow the stuff in it at levels that were significantly above the one in Netherlands. And I was already getting good results there. And so he goes, would you mind if I could be your supplier? So we had some meetings. I flew over there. We talked about it, and that's what happened. So then from 2013, it took a year, 2013 onward, it's been this extreme high grade double strain. So that's the story of that. Now, why did I tell you that? Is because that now relates to today, to every cell in our body, which I should have caught on then. What's going on with this osmotic transfer? What is hydration? Our belief of what hydration is not correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to take a total correction on this in 2022 to be able to have my eyes opened to learn how to actually hydrate the body. Now, if you think about levels of importance.
So I shouldn't be doing this.
You're right.
It's nice though.
It's a pleasure, but there's something far more pleasurable. You're going to drink liquid, but what you're going to make is you're going to make electrolytic fluid.
Electrolytes.
Yes. Well, electrolytes are, again, marketed in the world, and most of them are trash.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing elements. They're toxic. The body is not resonating with it. So what I found out is that, and I found this out a long time ago as far as the misinformation. We're told in school and medical world that 80% of our body is water.
Well, somebody told me it was 90% recently.
Could be, yeah. And whatever the percentage is a lie. Because what we are a percentage of, whether it's 80% or 90% or whatever the number actually is electrolytic fluid. Blood, which has plasma in it, lymphatic fluid, which is more than your blood, interstitial fluid, and then the fluid inside your cells. All of those fluids are a different type of electrolytic fluid. Very unique, very special, and they have the matrix within them that resonates with your body if you allow it to have. And the more you put in, the more you hydrate, because the hydration is based entirely upon the elemental matrix. If you're low on the elemental matrix within your cell, your blood, your lymphatic, your interstitial fluid. And so just to give you an example, people don't even know what interstitial fluid is. It's now considered the largest organ in your body.
Really?
Yes.
I thought that was your skin.
No. Well, and to go even deeper than that, your endothelium layer, which is on the inside of every blood vessel, whether it's a capillary or an artery or a vein, that is the size of a soccer field, and that's where you produce nitric oxide.
I'm
So
just
when you
going to
get,
say to the viewers, if Ian's using a lot of long words, just pause, go find a dictionary, and then carry on.
yeah, exactly. Well, and I had to learn all this stuff from the actual physical seeing is believing reality.
Hmm.
Because in the physical world, seeing is believing. If we're not seeing results, if we're not looking younger, feeling younger, having like being able to be tested and showing up at the top numbers on all charts, then we're not there. I can say I'm there, but I'm not there if I can't have something measured.
Yeah.
So measurement is something, again, that can be very distracting when it's done prematurely. But once you have your body dialed into what it really wants and it's fueled and energized with the true elemental things that your body loves, and one of them being sea minerals. And the sea minerals are the compatible, because you have an ocean inside your body per se of all this electrolytic fluid. When you cry a tear, how salty is that?
Mm-hmm.
It depends how hydrated you are, is how salty that's going to be. But
So,
everybody has salty tears.
so the more hydrated, the saltier.
Yes, that's right. Well,
Yeah.
although your body is going to always find that equilibrium for every fluid in your body when you give it the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and the body's working really hard to get that balance all the time. So if you're having the right hydration, you get obviously more energy because there's less energy spent on getting the balance.
That's right. And this ties into detoxification. How efficient is your body to detox is how much hydration you have. How good is your digestion
Don't
is
do this at
related.
home, folks.
Well, we can put something in that water that instantaneously converts it to exactly what you want. And what we know for a scientific fact, the real science, not the pseudoscience bullshit that we've been plowed into us, but scientifically, if you take a glass of water here that is clean and pure and structured and has very little minerals in it or elements, and you take a plasma water that you make with sea minerals, and you take the two glasses and you pour it equal amounts into a beaker, there's going to be, within a fraction of a millisecond, an instant osmotic transfer between the two waters, and you're going to have half as much salinity in that solution because you put equal amounts in. You're going to have half as much as this one is going to be absorbed into here, and you're going to have a combination of the volume and the elements measurable by weight instantly. Now it's going to be this water is going to pull this water down, and this water is going to pull this water up to perfect equilibrium. Your body is exactly the same. So inside of your interstitial fluid, your blood, your lymphatic fluid, and your cellular fluid, intercellular fluid, that will do exactly the same thing when you drink water. When you drink clean, pure, structured water, which is a base that you start with, but you would never drink. You start with that as a base to make your plasma liquid, your electrolytic fluid. When you drink the clean water, all of the cells, the blood, the lymphatic, and the interstitial fluid has to donate whatever elements is being building up to that water that then gets peed out.
Mm-hmm.
And you've now depleted your body. That's because hydration is what holds the water inside the cell, the interstitial fluid, the blood, and the lymphatic, so that you can then have transfer of energy, biophotons, nutrients, oxygen, etc., and have all of the waste products and the carbon dioxide released to be a super efficient body of absorbing, utilizing, and expelling. And you're like, for example, when I started hydrating properly, I didn't gain any size to my body at all, didn't gain any fat at all. And I gained 8 pounds or 4 kilograms on the scale within 2 weeks. It was like, what's up with that? My body wasn't going up or down in weight because my body was in the right equilibrium state that I thought it should be. But here I have 8 more pounds on the scale, and I wasn't any bigger. That's how much my body resonated with storing electrolytic fluid properly when I didn't deplete by drinking clean water anymore. And I found out that it takes a year to eventually have the body go through all these different iterations of like, wow, I'm getting the stuff I want now. Okay, I'm going to start moving this electrolytic fluid around to every single cell, whether it's a bone or an organ or a muscle or connective tissue, or you name it. As I mentioned, all the fluids, because all the fluids have to be topped up. So you're literally fueling your body up. And in this process of learning by doing this, I realized that all of us have been dehydrated from the womb, because mom was dehydrated.
Yeah.
And then we continued to be indoctrinated about false doctrine about hydration, about seawater. So then you have examples that are so powerful it cost people's lives when they were in a life raft. So you get the ship sinks, 4 guys in a life raft. They don't get found for a month in the middle of the ocean. 3 of the men, and this happened as an actual true story, 3 of the men knew absolutely for sure that when you drink that seawater, it will kill you.
Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink.
That's right. And they don't drink for 3 weeks. They don't have food for 3 weeks, and they perish because they are in the sunlight during the day, in the cold during the night, whatever the elements are that they're subjected to. Whereas the one guy said, I don't care if seawater is supposed to kill me. I'm drinking it because that's all we've got.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any ability to fish. We're not going to eat each other, right? So I'm just going to do this. He survived perfectly. He literally did a 28. They found him after 28 days. 3 of them were dead. He's alive. And he did a 28-day seawater fast and was thriving.
Well, I don't get that, right? So they didn't all die at the same time. So one died. If I was with the other 2, I'd have gone, hang on, he's dead. He didn't drink. He drank. I'm going to do what he's doing.
Exactly. But the belief is so powerful. People are so convinced. You cannot convince them otherwise. The more educated a person is, the more indoctrinated, the more their belief systems are formed and molded.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes.
Right? Because I was in the Sahara last week. We hired in a university astronomer to come to the desert with a telescope. And over the course of 3 nights, me and the people that were on the retreat I'd called in the ships, and we were watching stars moving in bizarre ways and stopping in midair and all of this. Not satellites, not planes, spaceships, right?
Right.
And so this astronomer comes along, and everybody's saying to him, "Oh, look at that ship." And he goes, "That's not a ship, that's a satellite, and the sun's coming off, the rays are bouncing off that thing." And then I said to him, "Well, that one's just stopped. How does satellites stop in midair?" Anyway, that's a satellite, and he just completely ignored the question, which is it was just a great example of overeducated people stuck in their ways and not, and some of the group actually asked him, "Have you ever seen anything you can't explain?" He goes, "Oh yeah, many times," but then just ignored the question. It's extraordinary. It's like me going to university. I did a degree in economics, 3 years. Nobody mentioned the fractional reserve banking system. Nobody even asked what money was.
Right.
I'm only bringing these up for the viewers because, we've all, it's like all the doctors not reading the ingredients of what they're putting into people's arms. It's just extraordinary.
It's irresponsible.
Yeah.
It is careless to the level of costing people their lives and their well-being as well on the way out, which is a phenomenon. I was a classic example of that at 46 years old.
Yeah.
Like if you would have met me at 46, you would have been, dude, like you were so dismissed, man. You were so fired.
I mean, just for people watching this that haven't seen Ian before, go onto the markattwoodshow.com and type in Ian Clark, and you'll find about 5 videos that we've done. And I think it was in the first one when we what I love about you is that you walk the talk. And I think there's a picture in one of those of Ian when he was 47. You wouldn't recognize him.
Right.
You literally balding, fat, totally different. Look, it's a different man. And here you are. What are you now? 65? 65?
65. Yep.
Wow.
And I'm healthier than I was when I was 25, but I was pretty good when I was 25, sort of, given what I was subjected to at that time.
Yeah.
But it looked good.
Yeah, well, you were young. That's before the enzyme production level started dropping at 27, is it, in the liver?
Right.
That's when we start properly aging, right?
Yeah, and our kidney function goes from 100% at 21 to 30% at 60 is the average. And everybody goes, yeah, that's what happens. It's like normal. Like, what's wrong with that?
Everything.
Everything. You're supposed to have 100% kidney function your entire life.
Yeah.
And if you don't, there's something up,
Yeah.
which again goes back to hydration, because the kidney has to deal with so much of the urination and the cleaning the lymphatic and cleaning the blood and doing all of its function. You got two of them, and the adrenals are attached to it. And I also found out, Mark, that anything that is dehydrating has to be removed off your day-to-day menu.
Such as?
Well, number one dehydrator on earth is a drug that everybody consumes at some point, usually, unless they're some religion that doesn't allow it. That is caffeine. Caffeine is a super drug, and caffeine dehydrates us at a very high rate. It's a diuretic, and it's also a very low vibration pleasure drug.
That's why I'm drinking this, because I just drank a cup of coffee. Makes sense.
Yes. Well, what I found out was there are things that are so much higher than caffeine or coffee as far as pleasure. They're not addictive, and they're able to give you energy that is real, rather than the caffeine asking for some fake energy production to get you going, because you weren't going properly. And as you transition out of these lower vibration pleasures, which are real pleasures, they're just fake.
Yeah.
As far as their outcome, and you go up to the higher vibrational frequency pleasurable things, they have a reward attached to them instead of a price attached down at the lower vibration. Just think of all the things people are addicted to.
Yeah.
They feel that it's a quality of life enhancement, whether it's cocaine or crack cocaine or caffeine or alcohol or you name it, right? Any of these.
It's usually, a lot of people don't understand this about addiction, but the reward that you're getting is for the thing that you've already just deprived yourself of.
Exactly.
So that's why cigarettes is a chain.
Yes.
And it's an ever decreasing circle. So the graph goes down over time, which is why smokers go from 2 a day to 20 a day to 30 a day over a lifetime, because you've got to top up that thing that you got rid of in the first place. So it's a fake reward.
Yes, that's right. And nicotine is a brain nutrient, which you might want to use once a month, maybe 1 milligram, just to be sort of dialed into something once a month at the most, because nicotine is the next super dehydrator.
Mm-hmm.
And alcohol is the next super dehydrator. But alcohol,
that's my 3 favorite things. I'm screwed.
No, you're not, because what you end up doing is because the pleasure is living in your body when your body's a super functional, optimized luxury vehicle that you're cruising around in.
Yeah.
When you get it there, that is 1,000 times more pleasurable than anything at these lower vibrational levels, just to be dialed in at that level.
How are you going to get me off coffee? What do you replace coffee with? Is it mushroom based?
No.
No?
No, right here, this is just like a rooibos chai with no caffeine. It's got some collagen in it. It has a little bit of glycine, because glycine doesn't jack up your GI, your glycemic index. It tastes great. I put a little bit of, I'll put a little bit of cinnamon in, just a little bit, because I don't want a lot of spices. They're another issue that we'll talk about.
So do you make that brew yourself?
Yeah, I actually put it together in the Vitamix and blast it and make a nice foamy tea that's just pleasure on earth.
So what are the ingredients again?
Rooibos chai from Numi. It's an organic Numi tea. Numi is just one of my favorite brands. You can get rooibos chai from anyone. And then it's got the collagen from, Great Lakes collagen, which is no flavor. It's just a really good quality collagen out of the US. It's called Great Lakes. And then a little bit of glycine, which is an amino acid. You don't need much of it, just a little bit for flavor, and it's also good for you. And then I got whipping cream, certified organic, 35% fat whipping cream that goes in. And this, I'm telling you, Mark, this is like super luxury. This is like extremely high vibe, pleasurable thing that has no price attached to it, and it's full of rewards.
Right. Collagen, glycine, rooibos chai, whipping cream.
Yep. in a Vitamix or a blender that you blast it and get it all nice and foamy. And
That's so funny because you mentioned that. I've got a Vitamix behind me that's been in its box for a year. And this morning I was thinking, how do I just get rid of this? Because I bought it when I was a vegan.
yeah, right. No, I don't use. Yeah, exactly. I know. I got so much stuff to sell. It's ridiculous.
Well, this sounds like a product to me. Have you not brought this out as a product? That'd be a great product, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, this is something that people can make it at home themselves easily.
Yeah.
Whereas when we produce a product that's something that's extremely difficult for somebody to do correctly, and because we do it on volume, now it's affordable.
Yeah, but if I get that in a little sachet and I could just add something to it in the morning, I'd be very happy.
True. Yeah, we could do something like that.
Yeah.
So, but the biggest thing is to make sure that what you're consuming is supporting your entire body's ability to function at higher and higher levels. So the lower vibrational pleasures that we know are harmful to us. Well, what's really hurting you though, whenever you take something that's dehydrating like that, you're moving the end of your days towards you. So let's say you're supposed to live to 130, 120, whatever, it doesn't matter what the number is. And everything you're doing today is either moving that day closer to you that you can't even feel today because it's coming way out in the distance towards you. You don't feel it till it's about 12 months away and you're like, oh my God, what is this? Right? But so everything we're doing is either going to keep that day way out there. Like I have my day 1,000 days away. My end day was 1,000 days away at 46. Like, dude, what was that?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
That's why I like talking to you. It's like being told off really nicely.
Yeah, right. Canadian polite.
You're gonna die, Mark.
You're not. You don't want. You're going to die, but not soon, buddy. I mean, so you got. So what I was able to do was found out how to move the 1,000 days out to 10,000 days, move the 10,000 days out to 30,000 days.
Well, since I met you, I've de-aged.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says it. Everybody I see, they're like, "Oh my God, you look younger than when you started." And I'm not. I'm saying this to the viewers, I'm not perfect. I still smoke. I still drink occasionally. I still have coffee.
Yep.
But I've done lots. This is one of my pleasures with this channel is meeting you. You changed my life considerably, with the iodine initially. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Oh, I remember that day. That was a fun day.
Well, it was amazing. I mean, if you guys watching this haven't seen Ian's video about iodine, go and watch it. It's brilliant. And that's changed. Just the iodine changed my life.
Yes.
And then loads of other things have happened since then. Lots of other people, but it's all these small changes that you make that have this cumulative effect. And it's, I'm very grateful to you for that initial information and for all the other people who've had on the show that have given me information as well. I'm gonna make a really concerted effort to make this drink and get rid of coffee.
Right. And what you're going to do is you're going to create your own menu. Nobody's going to tell you what to be on that menu. You are going to make decisions based upon intel, what you are going to put on that menu.
Yeah, because I slipped back into it. I just, I stopped coffee. I did a challenge earlier in the year and I stopped coffee for 3 months and I felt amazing. But then I was like, I'll just treat myself. And then before you know it, I'm drinking 5 a day again.
Just one little cigarette.
No, that's how it goes. That's exactly how it goes.
I've been through all those iterations myself in the past, for sure. It's no, but what I'm really realizing now, which is like the really cool thing, is that all of these iterative things that I'm learning about, that I'm employing and then removing off the menu and adding to the menu, is we're just now getting up to the starting line. We haven't really started yet, Mark. We're getting to the starting line, because once you're there and all these things, this is the beginning of your new life, to live a super long time with an extreme quality of life, where you are now able to be a clear channel to exude value to everyone around you, which then reflects back upon you on an exponential curve.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about your life right now. Let's go back 20 years. How old are you today?
53.
So let's go back to 33. From 33 to 53, you are on an exponential curve of value creation and production in this world to everyone around you who you touch.
I was in hospital when I was 33 with a suspected heart attack in the ICU.
Wow. Yeah, that's really early.
Yeah. It wasn't a heart. It wasn't a heart attack. I'd swum in the sea in Spain, against the tide, got out too far, really exerted myself to get back, and then it released enzymes. And whether you have a heart, they measure a heart attack by the enzymes that come from your heart, which are different to the ones that come from your muscle, but they didn't differentiate them in the initial test. So they put them in the ICU, and in the morning they said, no, it's not your heart. So it wasn't actually my heart. But then I developed arterial fibrillation. I can't remember what it's called.
Right, AFib. Yeah,
AFib, and I cured that with hawthorn berry.
cool. Yeah, exactly. Right, hawthorn. Awesome.
Well, this is so. It was a gift from God, because I wouldn't have been interested in even looking at this stuff if I wasn't in fear of my life disappearing, because my 1,000 days was getting very close, and
Right.
because of that, that's why I've had this I mean, I'm a flawed human being. I still fail at many things, but I'm fascinated, because what I love about you is that I just said you walk you do, when off camera, me and Ian had conversations before where he said, well, I looked into that, and so I just took a ton of it, and then I was out for days. I mean, he literally he experiments on himself, which I think is for the benefit of all of us, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the journey that we're all on. So as we are approaching the starting line, then our value exponential increase for the world we live in to everyone who requires this information is going to really proliferate itself automatically.
Yeah.
Because there's a resonant factor between us and everyone we're in touch with.
Yeah.
So that when you've been brought up above all the noise and the smoke and the mirrors and the confusion, you can then help people to come up with you. If we're down in the murky shit with them, we can't be of much use as far as getting out of that.
Well, that's what I think I've been doing.
You have been. You're totally going through the transition.
Yeah.
And you're continuously going through iterative things. So I decided to divorce myself from what I loved and what I hated, from what I like and what I don't like, what I think is right and what I think is wrong, because my programming was lying to me, and I became a product of a pack of lies.
Yeah.
That I believe were true, right? So I'm like, let's dump the whole thing right now.
You just summed up the whole human race.
Yeah, right. It's an unfortunate fact. And even the people who have the knowledge suppress it to keep it away from the masses so they can exploit and take advantage of the lack of knowledge or the ignorance, where people are constantly battling for their life and have to spend money.
You just explained the whole Rockefeller medical system.
Right. That's right.
Yep.
And they know what's up. But interesting, they don't actually, all the money in the world can't buy this information. And all the money in the world can't heal you. But the knowledge is the gold. So the true gold is that wisdom and knowledge that comes to us through, thank God, we're directed to people who can actually tell us, and that we have ears to hear, and we can then go, oh, that sounds right. That's the opposite of what I thought. I'll give that a try.
Yeah.
And then you find out that actually worked, because in the physical world, seeing is believing, and I can't fake it. I can't pretend that my knees are healed. They're healed.
Yeah.
I can't pretend my shoulders got healed. They're actually healed, because I can do anything and everything with both my knees and my shoulders now that I couldn't do until I was 60.
Do you remember? I don't know if you remember, I had carpal tunnel syndrome last year, and not eating vegetables and bread solved it.
Yes.
And I have to keep reminding myself, because these thumbs are perfect now. But I was in agony last year.
Wow.
And
I didn't realize it was that bad.
Yeah, one of my friends had it and keeps getting operated on. And she's in her 30s, and I'm like, hey, look. I said I had it, and I just did this, and they look at the glaze over.
Yep.
Oh, I'll get the operation. Why?
Because vegetables are so awesome. Vegetables are not awesome.
No, they're not.
You know what the real reason is?
Oxalates. Oxalates.
Well, there's oxalates, there's phytic acid, there's weakness. So plants, traditionally, they would produce all this stuff that's really bad for whatever's eating it to stop the thing from eating it.
Yeah.
And plants can't detox properly. They're subject to everything coming on top of them. They don't pee and poop. They don't breathe hardly, right?
Try saying this to a vegan. I'm looking at all the comments below this video now. The reason you're angry is because you only eat vegetables.
Right. Well, the vegetables it's the subjected things in this age that we live in, there's so many pollutants. There's the rubber dust, 10 billion pounds of rubber dust. And these are nano razor blades. You can't see them. They're not on the pavement. They're 1.5 miles above every highway, and they're in the food, in the water. They're in us. We're breathing this garbage.
Yeah.
So we realize, wow, that's going on all the vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
Animals, when they're walking around, they poop and they pee and they breathe and they move and they're detoxing all the time. And they're accumulating the value of what's in the vegetables, the grasses, the whatever, and they delete all the garbage that's in there to produce animal products, which are there for human strength and vitality. And since you and I spoke, the number one superfood in my world right now is a pasture-raised raw egg yolk.
Yeah.
Not the whites at all.
Oh, really?
Nope. Whites have abadan in them. And people go, oh, I did the research, and if you cook egg whites, the abadan drops. Okay, eat as many egg whites as you want. I won't. You couldn't pay me to eat an egg white right now. Because the abadan binds biotin. Biotin is the B vitamin that gives your body very large amounts of energy.
It cracks me up, man. I mean, you go into restaurants now, and I went into one the other day, and they had a whole separate menu. They had a menu, then they had a separate menu, and it was called the healthy menu. And and it was all veggie to vegan, right?
Yeah.
And omelets with it wasn't vegan, vegetarian omelets without yolks and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm just laughing. And have you noticed that they've replaced a lot of places have replaced the word vegetarian or vegan with plant powered. It's plant powered.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Plant-based, plant-powered,
plant-powered. It just cracks me up. It's like, what?
I know.
Propaganda.
Oh, it's so bad. It is so bad. And people, the problem is with eating vegetables is that they deceive your body into believing it's the right thing. It's like having mercury fillings. I know many people who had or have mercury fillings who did not want them to be taken out. They want to keep them. Oh, no, it's more dangerous to get them out than to keep them.
No, I've heard this, and I'm having one taken out next week. I had the first one taken out about 10 years ago. I've got
you got to make sure it's done very carefully. Have you seen the documentary, The Cause of Harm? Like it's from Tennessee. I will send you a link later. You got to watch this documentary. You have to have a truly holistic biological dentist.
I've got one.
Yeah, and they've got all the filters. They've got all the masks.
I've got the best dentist in Ireland. Don't worry about that.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
They're rare, right?
Yeah, they're like hen's teeth. This dentist got closed down again and again and again by the gut. I mean, she's a warrior.
Well, I'll tell you what, she's a super courageous warrior, because who would want to have a job of taking mercury fillings out of people's mouth and getting subjected every single time yourself to that? But when they put all the negative ion filters and literally the Scott Air Pack hazmat suit for real with supplied oxygen, wow. Yeah, they got to protect themselves. If they're not protecting themselves, they're not going to know enough to protect you.
Well, I'll make sure she watches this video before she operates.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, evidence of harm is what it's called. If you type it on YouTube, evidence of harm, type in Tennessee, because that's where the dentist was who did this thing. And he shows it totally. I've never seen a better documentary on this subject matter. And they look at both sides, like the real convincing American Dental Association saying that they're totally safe. You're completely crazy if you think it's not safe, to the actual truth. And
I'll put the link in the show notes below the video, guys.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's interesting. So let's get back to hydration, because I want to bring something up. I was I don't know if you know Lewis Herms. He ran the Truth Tour 2 that I just did in the States, and he made a film about water. You guys can watch it on screwbiggov.com about deuterium in the water. And he interviewed a guy who's an expert in this, who said something that stuck in my head, and that is that I'm not sure if I agree with him, but he said that if you want proof that seawater is not good for you because of the high levels of deuterium, go and look at surfers, because surfers age quicker. And I was thinking, all the surfers I know age slower. So it's an interesting, the deuterium thing's pretty interesting. Just for people watching, deuterium is basically like a double-sized molecule. It's twice as big as H2O. It should be HO, I can't remember exactly what he said. It's worth watching. What do you know about deuterium, and what do you know? Because Lewis's angle was that the deuterium that we have in our water supply is actually the real reason why we age so badly and get so ill. And with
Right. So again, it goes back to physical evidence. So what they say is that deuterium goes into your mitochondrial engine that runs at 9,000 RPM, and it drops these little deuterium molecules in there to bind up the gears, and it causes the mitochondria to crash.
basically,
Okay. And so then in Russia, they make deuterium depleted water, which they charge a very large amount for.
yeah.
Now, I'm not against deuterium depleted water, but I would absolutely create plasma out of it, because that again will go in, because it's super clean, super pure. It's going to pull the essential salts out of your body.
Mhm.
So your body becomes a detoxification machine to get rid of deuterium when you hydrate. So the dogma that the sea minerals are going to put more deuterium in your body is misinformation. It's going to allow your body to be able to expel the unwanted things entirely. Why do people get younger and younger and younger and better at detoxing, and they never get sick? They never get disease when they're hydrated properly.
Right.
And
So
they're
how
probably,
do you hydrate yourself properly? Because
okay.
you before the show you said you'd learnt this. You had to unpack some ideas, and then you put yourself through it, and within a month you got yourself to perfect hydration. And
Well, no, that was the first stage, was because it takes a year to fully hydrate doing
right,
this.
okay,
You start noticing it the first day.
I
What
missed
I
that.
went through is these like iterations of, whoa, I'm like suddenly peeing way more, but I'm peeing out the garbage that the body can finally get rid of, because it's getting the good liquids, getting rid of all that trash liquid that it couldn't get rid of because it was trying to hang on to as much as it could. And then I went through a constipation thing where I was like, why am I constipated? Because when the body has the real plasma, it's just searching for it everywhere, and it pulls all the hydration out of the colon. It sucks it up because it's looking for more water, right? So it pulls the water with the electrolytes out of there, and so then all I did was just drink more electrolytes, and that solved the problem. And I was able to eliminate and flush. And you can also use some laxative during that 1 to 2 week period when you can suffer dehydration in the colon, and then it keeps everything going. But then
As you,
once you're through there, that doesn't happen again.
I was going to say, as usual, folks, nothing on this show is easy. But, yeah.
Right.
So what exactly are you putting in your body then? Are you literally not drinking water like this at all now?
Correct. Like I'll use clean water with just a little bit of electrolytes. Like this is the tea, right? And I keep it in my mason jar, and I pour it in my cup. This has just regular, clean, structured water in it, because this is my in-between stuff. I am currently drinking 3 liters of what I will call plasma that I make, which is a major component of what your blood requires, by putting either liquid sea minerals. This is 100 times concentrate, called Trace. We've actually had this for 14 years, Trace. And it is so simple. You just 1 teaspoon of this into 1 liter of water, or we have the powdered version, which is called Boost.
I've
And
had
you,
that. Yeah.
right, and you just put that into your water, and you make sure, like when I wake up in the morning, and this is like the first iteration. This is the beginner's version. This is where everybody needs to start. Just don't get too radical yet. There's different levels and stages we'll talk about in future interviews. But this is where you start, because your body needs to acclimate. You don't want to go into a gym and lift 500 pounds. You're going to go and lift 50 pounds, right? So this is a beautiful, gentle way to start. So you either put the powder in, or you put this, or you can do a combination of both. And then in the morning when you wake up, you drink 1 full liter of the electrolytic fluid as soon as you wake up. And then you go about your, prep for the morning, and then 45 minutes later, you can have your breakfast or whatever you want. But it's important to do that, because you got to flush all the junk out of your system that your body did from all the repair all night. And that's a good way to clean it out, get your bowels cleaned out, and now you're set for the day. Then I do a half a liter of the electrolytic fluid 30 minutes before lunch, 30 minutes after lunch. So I get another liter in. Then at dinner time, I usually try to have an earlier dinner, around 5. Not always, but I try. And then it's a half liter 30 minutes before dinner, and a half liter 30 minutes after dinner. That means you've got 3 liters of the electrolytic fluid has gone into your system because your body doesn't want it all at once. It wants it throughout the day. And then you don't have any more of that between then and going to bed. So you can eliminate all the fluids and whatever you need. I have a little bit of tea in the evening, but that's easy to pass. And as you go through it, all your belief mechanisms are going to try to tell you, well, salt causes high blood pressure and salt causes heart disease. And there's all these things that we've been taught that is so exactly the opposite.
Well, no, table salt does.
So table salt is just, Himalayan salt is off the menu. Any salt that is not ocean derived in its unrefined state. So when it's just simply dried, it's not refined. This is raw, concentrated ocean water that never got to a dry state. But it's not as convenient because we got to ship the fluid, whereas this is a lot lighter and easier to ship, right? But people like liquids, people like this, the dried as well. But at any rate, this is a good place to start. And you start out with half of the amount. So you would go, like when I first started, it would be half a teaspoon in a liter of water. And then that was for the first couple of weeks. Then I put a teaspoon in every liter. You do that for a whole year. And then you can back off to a regular amount in all your water from then on, because you're not going to be depleting yourself anymore. You've got all of the cells in your entire body, whether it's a blood cell or a vein cell or a brain cell or a bone cell or whatever. They've all got the right amount of electrolytes inside them that are naturally human biocompatible, which is ocean always. So this deuterium depleted water is going to dehydrate everyone who is drinking that water, as well as the clean, even like the grander water, which is awesome. That's structured. Everything I do is all grander water. I mean,
I have it because of you. I've got it in my whole house.
Right, and that puts the vibrational energy of all that energized water throughout your whole.
Yeah, because it's going through the heating system. It's in the water, everywhere. So the whole house vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got loads of organite here as well. I mean, the house is great. It's the best water in Ireland.
Yeah, for sure. And it's emanating this radiant energy from your house to the neighborhood around you. It's not an esoteric thing. It's a real, actual energy.
Yeah.
And, we know that the invisible world has far more material content in it by 1 billion times than the visible.
Yeah.
Because it goes smaller and smaller. It goes microscopic, then nanoscopic, and then picoscopic. Nano's 1,000 times smaller than micro. Pico's 1,000 times smaller than the nano. And when you go into the Dalton molecules, they're 12 decimal points to the right side of pico smaller than the pico. I don't even know what that number is. Like is whatever that is, right? It's quantum stuff, but it's still measurable particles. And so all of this stuff, we got to make sure our body's efficient at utilizing and dispelling the stuff it shouldn't have. And that's what this is all about.
Guys watching this, I know some of you are going to be saying, what's Grander Water? I'm going to do a show on Grander Water. I've just been trying to organize things with them because it's not very easy to get. They're not very well organized in the way that they deliver stuff, but it is worth doing a show on Grander Water in and of itself because it's fantastic. But with the Grander stuff, you can't. There's no machine to measure what it does because it's quantum. So my everything I do is kind of anecdotal. So as soon as I got the Grander Water installed, the first thing that I noticed is the basil plant on my kitchen windowsill quadrupled in size in a week.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. It was like the best basil plant. It was one of those supermarket ones that normally falls to pieces after 3 days, but this just went up and it became a giant bush. And of course, I felt better and feel better. And as soon as I got home, the house has hugged me from my exhaustion over the last couple of months, which is, I've recovered much faster than I thought I would. Now, the fact that you make these products that you're consuming, what's interesting, I don't do interviews with Ian for sales pitches. I do them because he really knows what he's talking about. And because he knows what he's talking about, he then built a business off the back of what he's learned. And so, but anybody watching this, why is your stuff that you've got better than you can get anywhere else?
Well, the activation products is where people can go. Like you can give them the link. I always suggest people to teach themselves and make decisions based on what they want to do, not what somebody convinced them or some slick salesperson or whatever. I don't like that stuff because they need to slow down. Like when people go to our website, I would say just poke around, Take your time. Right now, there's a big sale on because of the holidays. So people can get super good prices, but they got to know, they got to navigate the site and then try this and look for the best possible pricing that you can get based on the discount codes.
Tell you what then, there's a link underneath this video, and if this goes out on Thursday, you've got the whole Black Friday nonsense weekend. I know people don't like the Black Friday thing, but the thing is, it just means you get things cheaper. But should we have a look around the website?
Yeah, you just look on the website and just see what vibes with you, because these two guys are on there. We have a limited supply of them, but we have thousands of units, which is enough it'll sell out by end of next week.
So where should I'm on the website. Where should I go?
If you go up to products,
yeah,
and then you can just either click on that and then scroll down the page. You can click on the products or click on trace, that's fine. And that'll bring you to the trace ocean minerals. And then you just choose, during the sale times, you just choose the single one and then add the single ones on. That's where you're going to get the biggest discount, because it's a store-wide discount right now.
Okay.
And so it's already dropped down $10 just on one. That's the actual 25% off store-wide right now. And there's also bundles.
What's that one? What's the other one that you had in your hand?
It's Boost. If you click on products at the top without the drop down, just click on the products and bring that whole page up of products.
Okay.
It should. Okay, now you can scroll down and you'll find Boost there.
There's the ID.
Yeah.
By the way, while I'm on here, the amaranth oil, is it?
Yes.
That's supposed to be good for hair loss, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's also good for energy. And you just have the tiniest amount of that stuff. There's the Boost right there.
So should I be rubbing it into my head?
You can. It's wonderful for skin and for hair to go in, and it actually disappears. I put it on before nighttime, and then it's gone by the morning. It is one of those oils that just literally gets in there and disappears, which not many oils do that. Most oils will sit on your skin, and you got to wash it off. So cool. That's a very unique one. And, amaranth oil is the essence of the seed. Yeah. People can use the cake for baking and things like that, but I'm not personally into that. But the oil has 8% squalene, which is a very antioxidant type oil that just helps with the skin. And people can take it internally as well. I use it mostly externally.
Well, I've been dropping it in my drink in the morning and knocking it back.
Yep. Well,
is there anything else you want to show on the website before I leave it?
No, people can explore around. There's everything on there has a significant benefit to it. But I always tell everybody, just take small amounts. You don't need to take the recommended amount. You can drop it down, make the product last. It's super concentrated stuff, ultra pure. There's no adulteration. There's no dilution of any of our products, and you don't need much of them. So that way you can save the money, you can put it into your budget, and they're very shelf stable as well. So that's really good. Just on one side note, when you mentioned about machinery measuring the grander,
yeah,
there's two huge machines in the world that measure that every single day, and they validate it. The one machine is called the Bavaria Motor Works. The other one is called Mercedes-Benz. Literally, both of those companies in their big factories,
BMW and Merck.
They put these huge grander devices installed in all of their water systems for the entire factory.
Oh, I didn't know this.
They save 30% on chemical use alone, because the water is so opened up, it can absorb and be more efficient for use. And there's chemical companies as well. I don't know the name of the one, but there was on the documentary where, again, they showed 30% savings on chemicals. It had translated to millions of dollars a year that they were saving on chemicals, because these are high volume production companies. So to me, that was like, whoa, that's a massive measuring device. Those companies would never do that unless there was physical evidence.
I'll tell you funny. I was in Donegal about 9 months ago, and I went on a boat trip, and I happened to be sat next to some Austrians, and I said, you guys heard of Johann Grander? And they went, "Oh, Grander, he's crazy." And I went, really? Why do you think that? It was like immediately, like, yeah, that crazy guy Grander.
Right, exactly. Yeah. He won all those awards, and then the pharmaceutical industry tried to strip it from him through the government, and they couldn't strip it from him. They couldn't prove he was wrong. No. And then they said he couldn't prove he was right. Are you kidding? There was proof everywhere. Yeah. That's why he won the awards, and he was an awesome guy.
He was, yeah. He's a legend. I will do a show on him. I'll get you on for that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
So how long have you been into this? How long so look, you created that product Trace 15 years ago.
That's right. And I didn't even understand the dynamics. Like I thought,
Well, that's what I
wait,
was gonna say.
you just put a little bit in your water once in a while for mineralization. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you
'Cause
got
that's
it.
kind of like my, I use electrolytes. I've got fasting salts, and if I feel down, I go to the fasting salts, and it's magnesium and blah blah blah, and I drink that. And I've had the your other product there, Boost, is it? I've forgotten what it's
Yes.
called. Yeah, I've had
Boost.
that. I
Yeah.
ran out. That's because I love that. I had that. I really like the taste of that, so I went through it quite quickly. But how? So you've not actually done this protocol until recently
That's
because of
right.
this.
It's been the last 2 months.
2 months.
2 months for me. Now, this is a little story. It's a little bit personal. I won't use the person's name because she told me something private about her body that, you know, you wouldn't publicize by
Yeah.
name. But I've known her and her husband for the last maybe 3 years now. She's 68 years old. Her husband's in his early 70s. They live in Victoria, BC. And she ran into me because I knew her daughter, and her daughter is a musician. Anyway, she got a hold of me and she was sharing some stuff once in a while. She was really proud that she could share stuff that I wasn't aware of. And then one day about 4 months ago, she called me up and she goes, Ian, I got to tell you something that I'm experiencing. And you can do whatever you want with this information, but I found out about how to hydrate my body with sea minerals. And
I'm just gonna. He didn't say semen minerals. I'm just gonna clarify that.
that's right. It's semen, not semen, sea minerals. But it
Sea
has an
minerals,
interesting how it's called semen, sea minerals. Okay,
isn't it?
it ties in, and I'll explain to you in just 1 second.
Because it's the seed of life.
It is, and the ocean is the foundation for the oxygen production for our world, and there's a lot to do with the ocean, as you know. But what she said is that when she had 3 children in her first marriage, and she had vaginal dryness from about 35 years old onward, which she believed was her hormone shift.
Yeah,
Right.
I think a lot of women believe that.
Yep. And so then she was only 2 months on this protocol that she shared with me that she was doing. And she said that her vaginal mucous membranes brought it back to her. She was 21 years old with the vaginal lubrication. And she said when that happened, she was like, that's not even possible. I'm 68 years old. What's going on? And all her dry eyes went away and everything started to change and her face plumped out and the fine lines started to disappear. And that because people are shriveling and they're shrinking as they're dehydrating.
My nan had a face like an old tea bag. It had more lines on it than a map. And I look back on her, and people also aged. People my age 30 years ago looked 80.
Hmm.
It's crackers how, and it's all dehydration.
Yep.
Well, in my nan's case, it was lager. But
Yeah.
we you guys have just watched two grown men talk about vaginal dryness with a straight face, which makes this a great episode and a good place to end because I've got to go because Kieran's just turned up to give me my car back. He's had it for 3 weeks. I've been waiting for him to drop it off. I've not cut a story off there, have I?
No, but it does tie into the semen. The semen production, the liquid is also brought back up to speed for a male because we lose that as well when we dehydrate. So sexual function is all around this whole thing. Also, erectile dysfunction is erased by proper hydration.
Wow.
Or it's tied in so much because
Whoa.
because all the muscles that allow the blood flow start to get hard and crinkly and don't work.
It all makes sense, Ian. It all makes sense. And it's so simple.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Lovely to speak to you again. Guys, links near this video. I'm not going to post this video till I've ordered mine because they're going to sell out. Even though you've talked about vaginal dryness and erectile dysfunction, I think you're going to sell out very quickly.
Yeah, right.
All
the guys are awesome.
We should have started the show with that, not at the end. All right, great to see you. Great to see you. I'll speak to you soon, Ian. Got to go.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.